This is my Sedum Clavatum. This Sedum Clavatum is 4 years old. This is what's left of my original plant that I bought over 4 years ago. I bought the original plant in summer and I planted it straight into my garden, and when winter came it died, and all I'm left with was a couple of leaves. From what started off as 2 leaves has now become many plants. And this one is also a plant that came from my original plant. Hello there, my name is Liz, a self-confessed succulent addict. Welcome to my channel, Growing Succulents. Your Sedum Clavatum might not be a Sedum Clavatum. This is a sedum or a sedum. I prefer saying sedum. So this looks very much like a Sedum Clavatum or a Sedum Clavatum, but it's actually a Sedum Spathulifolium. The Sedum Spathulifolium is quite large for its size. I've given it a lot of fertilizer to grow that way. Now if I compare, so this one is also, they're the same age, but this one on the right has got smaller rosettes compared to the one on the left. They look very much like a Sedum Clavatum, but they're not a Sedum Clavatum. But how can you tell the difference between a Sedum Clavatum and a Sedum Spathulifolium? These are very identical plants. The one on the left is a Sedum Clavatum, and the one on the right is a Sedum Spathulifolium. So now can you see the difference? Sedum Spathulifolium are normally a smaller rosette plant. So this is a fat Sedum Clavatum, and that is a skinny Sedum Spathulifolium. Another name for this, I think, is the variety is Cape Blanco, because it has gray. It's more gray than yellow. So Sedum Clavatum is more yellow looking and fatter. They're much fatter plants. And both of them are grown, or I have grown, in this area, and same age but different look. And another way you can tell whether what you have is a Sedum Spathulifolium or a Sedum Clavatum or a Sedum Clavatum is through the scent. One is scented and the other one is not. I mean, to be honest guys, if I were given this plant and someone says to me that's a Sedum Clavatum, I would just gladly accept it and say I've got a Sedum Clavatum. But now, as it turned out, I got 2 different plants. So, and the only way I could tell whether it's a Sedum Clavatum or a Spathulifolium is by smelling it. Sedum Clavatum, as it matures, will give off a stronger scent. So this one has very mild scent, and if I do want the scent to be stronger, I would give it a light misting. And if I sniff it now, then it will give off a much stronger scent. But since this is still a young plant, so I've had this for about 1.5 years, so the scent it's not as strong as, so this plant is a much older plant, and I had this for about 2.5 years, and I don't even need to spray it. I can already get a strong scent from it. And this is not just one plant, this is comprised of 3 plants. So from, that's a one plant, cut, grown, and it grew into that. So I got 3 of them, like this, 3 heads, and propagated. So 3 years you form a nice big cluster like this one. And since it's still daytime and the air is still dry, there's hardly any moisture in the air, so I'm gonna mist it up And I'm going to leave it for a few minutes and come back to it. Look at that, okay? And if I would just smell it, even now, I can just smell sort of just that I just wet it, so that's why the scent is stronger. But it's still not as strong as when it's nighttime. And this one here, this one has already, I think, almost 4 years old. And this one has formed like a bonsified look, or a bonsai look. I like using the word bonsified. But anyway, if I smell this, this has a much stronger scent compared to that big cluster that I've just shown you. This Sedum Clavatum has been chopped off. It all started with a mummy at the top, and the stem grew all these babies, and now it's forming roots. So it has been 8 months, almost 8 months since I chopped this off, and let's go check out the other ones. Okay, see, they're all growing roots. Look at that. They even flowered while they're in here. Look at that. Every single one has got roots, and it's already drying up. So they are well and truly, okay, let's go check at the back there. See? They're well and truly ready to be put in the soil. So they are very, hang on, let's check this one. This is, I think, oh no, look at that. Even the smallest one. They are very strong plant. So, and if you're killing your Sedum Clavatum, there's something wrong. There's something very, very wrong. They're not nicknamed stone crop for nothing. Sedums are one of the hardiest succulents that you can have. They are best grown out in the open, in the sun. We're here in Canberra. I have grown them slowly, acclimatizing them into our frost because they're not very frost hardy. So we have a zone 9, but this one originally has been grown in this spot here where I have this ebony now. I've replaced it with the ebony. So this one now I put on the other side because it's starting to hang over and I have a high chance of hitting it. That's why I moved it over there. So it's only been there for a couple of days, and this is where it's going to stay because it is now more open to the element. So you get a southwest coming from this area, which is going to hit that. So it's going to be bombarded. I like that word. It's going to be bombarded by the sun. So more than on the opposite side. The opposite side, it only gets morning sun and partial afternoon sun, or midday sun and afternoon sun. This one is gonna enjoy the midday sun and also full afternoon sun, which is what I think will bring out the best color for them. So very easy to grow, and the soil I use, I'm using my master soil mix. I have used also for this one, hang on, wait a minute. This is still grown in its original soil. So that, okay, drop it. So this is just, don't drop it. Okay, so this is grown in pit moss. So I haven't changed the soil that I got it from. So it's still the same soil, and you can see it's dry. And look at the roots. It's all sticking out and really dry. Okay, I'm putting it on my other plant. I'm a horrible succulent mother. Look at this. Now this one, so you can see, I mean, I don't really have to strip that. You can see that's really dry. That is like dry. So there you go. I'll put it back in there. That has been through a lot already. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, see how tough that is? Now I can slap that around. Look. And they will be strong. But if you grow this in a shaded area, poor thing, I slapped you, sorry. Now, if you grow this in a shaded area, or if it doesn't get enough light, the slightest touch, the leaves will fall off. So if you grow it out in the sun, so especially in areas in the tropics with high humidity, just don't water it. That's the only way you could kill your Sedum Clavatum or your Sedum Clavatum, is if you water it. You have to leave it to dry up. Let them dry up between watering. Say for example this one, I've only watered this say about maybe 6 times in a year, for the whole year, and you can tell that it's dried up if you see. So when the leaves, it starts showing dry leaves like that, okay, that means it needs water. So, but what I will do, what I normally do is I dunk the whole thing in water, soak it in water overnight. So if you have a soil wetter, the soil wetter helps break it down, break the soil down much quicker, enabling the plant to absorb moisture or liquid faster compared to just watering it. If you're just using plain water, you can also use plain water, but you have to soak the plant for at least 2 days. So don't be afraid, at least 2 days. So don't go and take your Sedum Clavatum now that's already still wet, that you just watered last week, and soak it in water because it's going to die, it's going to rot. So let it dry up. Let the soil completely dry up before watering it. Fertilizer, I do use fertilizer on my Sedum Clavatum. I give it a liquid seaweed fertilizer once a year, but I normally give that in springtime. So right now summer, they are dormant, so they're not going to grow anymore in summer, but come autumn again, they'll come alive again, and into winter they will grow through winter and also through spring. And summer, when it's really hot, when the temperature hit high 30s or above 30 degrees Celsius, then they go to sleep, they go dormant, they go into a semi-dormant period. But in between that, if you do get cold days like what we've been having lately, they started growing again. So if I take cuttings now, the roots will, if you dry it up really quick, then we'll say a week, and then if the temperature holds that below 30 degrees Celsius, then the Sedum Clavatum will kick into gear and get out of dormancy and start growing again. But then the minute it gets hot again, they go to sleep again. This is one of my mature Sedum Clavatum. And this is at least 2 years old. So this is grown from one plant. After a year or so, I just started cutting off limbs. So say for example this one here, if it sticks out like that, I just chop it off and leave it there to root on its own. And once it roots up, I just sort of, if there's a space, well there was a space before because it wasn't this thick, and I just stick it in the soil and grow it there. So over the course of almost 3 years now, this one actually, so almost 3 years that it's been growing here. So I just keep growing it that way. Hang on, I'll take this out because it's in the way, and we're going to use this to pot up. Now this one, now you can see that they all grow from the base of the main plant. So every time there's a main plant that grows or a stem that extends out, then new babies will form. See, those ones are all nicely thick and clustered up, and those little babies will extend out. So that's how they grow. So now with this one, I can see that this limb here, this part there, is okay. I'll just turn this around, hang on, but I'm just gonna chop this off here because that one there is all dried up anyway. Plus the stem is all ugly. See that? And then it has flowered before, so we just clean it up and we'll put that away. That one too, we'll take that off because all those babies can grow out of it, and if there's something blocking them, then that will stunt their growth. And also you can propagate via leaves, but it takes a long time. If you can take all those leaves, see that just broke off there, so that is not going to grow, so we throw it away. It has to be a perfect, see that one there, shake it from side to side, and you have to have the perfect eye. You got to see an eye. See that one there, that's actually a good example of that one. See, there you go. There you go. So if you see an eye, then that's a good leaf. The bad leaf, there's no point growing a bad leaf, but I'm just going to grow that there. I mean, put that there. Now this one, you can strip it. And again, I broke it off. See that there? So that's not gonna help the plant, so you're best removing that. That way the roots can grow there, or new babies can also grow there, or new plant. So we'll remove that, and then this one, this is good and ready, apart from the spider, sorry spider, there you go. So this is good and ready to be planted. Okay, so again, that one there, that's a perfect removal. There you go, extraction. Now, you have cases wherein, see this part here that's flowering. So again, it's blocking all that part there. Now we can chop that off, and you can see there's already a root growing. So that's really, really good. And if I remove the base of that nicely and cleanly, so that's all nice and clean. So from something like that, as a bare stem, if left somewhere in the cool or even out in the open with the potties, it can grow into something like this. This stem here was originally no plants, no babies like that. So those all grew in the last 8 months that it's been sitting here. So if I leave this plant here now in this area, then that can also, or it will also form babies like that. So these leaves now I'm just going to throw in this pot here, and whether they grow or not, that's fine. Now this one is a Sedum Clavatum as well. This is from a flower stalk or stem that I instead of throwing it away, I just stick it in there, and then that has been growing as well. So you can see this is only like a week ago when I put that in there. So it has already calloused over and starting to grow a little bit of root there, just one root sticking out there. But anyway, I'm just going to stick that back in there. This is my collection of peat moss, and what I do with this one, I use it for the garden. Actually, I mix it in my soil for the garden, but with this one now, I use it to line the bottom of my pot. Hang on, there you go, because it's got big holes. The dirt will just go through that, and peat moss is good for stopping that. And also, when it does get wet, my Sedum Clavatum or Sedum Clavatum will have access to water for a long time, and that's how I don't need to water. So soil again, this is my new soil mix, but you can use any soil. Now this is freshly cut. Most of those ones are freshly cut, and then this one is the old cut. Okay, this one now, what I like to do with this one, I just clean it up. So this is the one that's been sitting there for 8 months, look. And the leaves, they will eat themselves off. See those leaves there? It's all wrinkled. I have to take it out here now where it's nice and bright. So I'm gonna top up my pot, and the one that's been grown, ready? Okay, so my soil is really dry. Okay, so with this one, since it's already got roots, I can, hang on, take that out. Better if we go, see this, because you only have a small stem. Ideally, I could chop this part off, so that one I can stick in the soil, and I still have a longer stem for the plant to go into the soil. But in this case, I want to preserve that because I really like to grow. I want to grow this one sort of hanging out. So anyway, like a bonsai look. Okay, so now we'll stick it in there, and we'll almost cover the plant. And to keep it in place, I'm going to use a hairpin. Oopsie. Oh. See, it's not very stable. Okay, we'll do it again. Take 2. Now, let's go there. And we'll stick the hairpin in now. Okay, while we can see where we're sticking it in. There you go. So that way the plant will stay put. Now, I can wriggle it around. There you go. And I'm just going to get some granite or bigger pieces of granite. There you go. Throw that in there. That's fine. Just to keep it in place. And also when you're watering, that way the soil doesn't come out of it or jump out. So I've got 1, 2, 3 plants there. So that'll be good enough, but I could add more. Like this one's already rooted as well. We could add a little bit more in there, and another one. We'll put you in that spot there. Okay, we'll take the rocks out again and stick that in there. And oh look, there's another baby on that one. See, there's a baby. And then we just put the bigger bits of rocks, or granite in this case, and put it back there. And I could just water this, which I will, since I have a water going on in here. There you go. I'm just gonna put you there and water that. Again, I'm using soil wetter because these pots haven't been watered for a long time. So especially even this one, the soil is really dry and bubbles showing. Again, I'm gonna leave that there to soak up all the liquid, or to water itself. Now this one, this Sedum Clavatum or Sedum Clavatum, are freshly cut. I got 4. I'm gonna get another one because I don't like 4, the number 4. So I'm gonna put some soil as well. Okay, now I'm gonna get, so because it's freshly cut, but that one's already got a root, so what I'm gonna do is stick that in there like so. A 1, a 2, 3, 4, and the 5th go in there. I'm just gonna push. I'm pushing it down and tapping it so they go in. Hold it down. There you go. Oh, beautiful. So now with this one, I am not going to water it because it's just freshly cut. So it's like an open wound. If your wound, you just got a cut on your finger and then you keep soaking it in water, it's going to take longer to heal up. Now, with this one, all I'm doing with this one, because the soil is really dry. If your soil is quite moist, then I suggest don't do this. Only do this when the soil is really dry. So if the soil is moist, leave it somewhere, put it somewhere where it's cool. So say for example, in my scenario here, this area here gets morning sun. So I could just leave that in there, so pretending that my soil is moist. So I could just leave that there for the next 8 months and that plant will grow. And it is not going to etiolate or get leggy because it gets a lot of light. This area gets a lot of light. So I'll leave it there and I'll come back when it's flowering, or if I tug it after a couple of months and it's got some roots, then I will water it then. But until then, do not water it. Leave it there. But in this scenario, since my soil is really dry, okay, I would like to give it a head start, and I would just dunk the water, dunk the pot. So I would just dunk the pot in this solution for about 5 seconds. So go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's it. So I can feel a little bit of moisture, or the pot got heavier. So now I am going to put this one in this area, and I'll see you in 5 months. Okay, that's it guys. I hope this long video would have shed a light into the mysterious world of the Sedum Clavatum, or Sedum Clavatum, as I prefer to say it. I like Sedum. I don't know why. I'm having a difficult time saying Sedum, but these are all babies that have grown from a leaf that was inside in the grow light, and now I'm putting them all out here. And these ones need watering. Oh, that one's still heavy. This is the bluebird. That was a month ago that we potted up, and they're still, I've watered it twice since, because this is in a small pot and it doesn't get rained on, and it's only a fairly new baby, and they only have fairly new roots, and I'm not pulling them out. I'm going to leave them there, but you can see now, look, the center is growing compact. So that sort of stretch out before, because it was not exposed to, well, it's been growing inside. So now that it's out here, it's growing normally.